for so many different reasons.
I love it.
You made the critique cliche photos. So are people supposed to submit bad photos?
That was my thought, but they could be cliche photos that actually turned out better than the cliche version.
So are highly rated images in this contest better or worse?
Oh, I see. The rating is the confusing part.
No, everything about this is a confusing shit show.
Well, we'll just have to figure it out as we go.
Okay.
I've created a new contest that might be a little clearer for you.
Okay, what's that?
I thought it'd be fun. We always talk about doing personal projects, and then you've always said, you always say it's great to have, if you had 5 or 6 of these images, it would be a better image. So for the next critique, I want to see personal projects that you've completed or that you're still working on. It can be one image from that project, or maybe you could like bundle them in so we could see like 3 of them side by side.
Wait. Is personal projects what you meant to do, or series?
Personal projects.
Well, isn't a personal project any photo shoot that you did on your own time?
So if you went to New Zealand and wanted to photograph one single building, that's your personal project. Okay. Submit that.
Okay.
If your personal project was, I want to shoot pictures of people on Wall Street,
okay,
and it's 20 pictures, pick like the best one or the best 3, submit them individually or put them together so we can see them as a 3-series thing. And that's your personal project.
It just feels like, once again, you haven't been totally clear with what you want.
It's pretty clear in the description.
Okay.
Guys, you get it. If you've done a personal project and you want to share it and get your advice from 2 incredibly talented photographers,
that's true,
we will give our advice, although I have to warn you, Lee might be confused on the whole process.
Well, we're about to see how confusing you are at setting these contests up. Are you ready?
Ever done a personal project?
It's called Fstoppers.com.
Is there something you could show in a photo form that you're like, this is a project I set out to do, and here's what I did? I mean, obviously you have like ad campaigns and you have wedding images that you took. There's things that you designed, and we create videos every week with personal. They're not really personal projects though. If I send you some crazy gear and I'm like, use this, that's a little different than like you having time to, marinate on it and be like, you know what I would really like to do?
So you're saying that photography that I did for myself or my business that's not Fstoppers related?
I mean, no, just other people don't have Fstoppers. They don't have other businesses like this.
I don't know what you're telling me right now. I'm thinking in my mind, I took a photo of the Tesla Roadster die-cast car that's behind me here.
And that was a project you thought about, and you were like, it's worth doing, and you know what, I should continue doing this? Or was it like, I gotta shoot a picture of a car?
I don't know what this continue doing this is, if it's a series.
A project should mean that like you financially invested in it, you put time into it, you stopped what you were doing that might make you money to do something that you think could be worth either emotionally or it's like a fulfilling thing, or you think maybe it's a pivot that you want to do in your career to make more money doing this thing. It's like Mike Kelly. Like, he went out and shot all those airports with all the planes. He's done all this architecture in Iceland. He's done stuff from a helicopter.
That makes total sense to me from his perspective. But because we own Fstoppers, every personal project I do it because I can fit it into Fstoppers.
Yeah, I would say those aren't personal projects.
Okay,
those
then
are just sponsored videos where you're trying to make an image for a set of criteria. It's no different than being hired by a commercial company, an ad agency, and they're like, we need to build an ad for this product. I would say that's not a personal project. You were like having to do a job for somebody, and this is what you came up with.
But the reason, and this is horrible content, I apologize, but the reason why I would disagree with you is, yes, sometimes companies approach us and say, hey, we want to sponsor a video and you need to take a photo of this or use this product.
Yeah.
With that car, that was 100% my idea. Maybe it was like a lens was sponsoring it or something.
Enter that into the contest, and we will critique your Tesla toy car photo.
Sounds good.
All right, well, this isn't about that. This is about something even worse. This is about cliche photos that are going to be disastrous.
So this is an image. Is this the best image? Is this the worst image? Is this the most cliche image? What is this?
This is the highest rated image. I'll leave it at that. Because I don't know. I don't know if people thought this is the most cliche. There were very, very, very cliche images that had very low ratings. So I think people are saying this is the best image, which I find that still kind of hard to believe. This is the best image that was submitted that happens to be a cliche photo that many photographers have overtaken.
And so it took me a second to realize. I thought they were like shooting a reflection or something, but I realized it's the like camera lens pose. So that is ultimate cliche.
Yeah.
However, this is a bad photo all the way around, but congratulations, you've won a free tutorial on fstoppers.com/store.
There's some good coming out of this. Yeah.
And I apologize, guys. I know for the last critique, I still haven't gotten those people their free tutorial. I haven't even opened those messages
Maybe that could be
yet.
a personal
I apologize.
project.
Yeah,
To like
I will do it today. I will do it today. But send me a private message on fstoppers.com. Let me know what you want, and you earned it. This photo is not good. Are you ready to rate it?
So how are we going to rate these? Does it belong in your portfolio? It should be.
Okay, so we're gonna keep our ratings consistent as they've always been, but then we can talk about the images.
Yeah.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. 2.
Might be a lot of 2s in this.
I think it's better than a 1-star. It's beyond a snapshot. We've got somewhat of an interesting composition here, but it's just the lighting's not very good. Her expression isn't very good. The hands, very few people do the vertical one. Everybody does the horizontal one. That's the truly cliche way to do it. So I don't like it.
Pi Jerza did an image for our tutorial we did with him on Lightroom where he says, I'm going to go out on location and shoot with my phone and use Lightroom Mobile. Have you ever used Lightroom Mobile? I know I haven't.
No.
And so he's like, I want to show you how easy it is to take pictures on location, edit them, and then export them. And the goal was kind of like to create images on set where the client sees them, and it's like all done really quickly with very little tools. And so he had an image where he shoots super wide, and he gets down, and the girl's got her hands like come into the camera, and she's not doing this thing. But you can see it if you go to fstoppers.com/store and go to his tutorial page.
What's that called?
Mastering Lightroom, I think is what it is. But it's a really cool image where it's got the hands coming to the photo, to the camera. I should have grabbed that just to give an example. This feels like, I think everything you said, very bland. There's nothing going on. You can't really tell what the hands are doing. That type of shot, sometimes you might want to shoot with a larger depth of field to like make it to where it's not.
Right, because I couldn't even tell it was hands for a while. All right, moving on. I mean, it's sad that the most beautiful places in the world now are cliche to photograph, but I guess that's true, right?
And did this photographer I'm sorry in advance, but we're gonna have to talk real. It's like real time with Lee and Patrick.
Yeah.
The most beautiful places in the world have also been captured in a way that's less beautiful than
what they really look like. I don't know.
Most of the time you take pictures and you've embellished it. You've made it look really better than it should look.
Yeah, you have a problem with this?
Yeah, this doesn't look good, right? It's like super HDR and it looks like
it's all
a rendering.
Crunchy. It's got like a high pass filter or something.
Yeah, I just don't. I'm not a big fan. Having issues over there?
Well, I'm having sound effects going off on my computer. I don't hate this. Maybe we should just rate it and then we should talk about it. Let me get us back here. Ready? Yep. 3, 2, 1. 2 stars. I mean, I think it's better than the last shot, but is it good enough for your portfolio? 2 stars, I think it needs work before it hits your portfolio.
We got in a little rant and argument at the beginning of this video about, does this belong in your portfolio? Can you have a good cliche image that belongs in your portfolio?
Yeah, of course.
If this was done really well, this image, this is probably one of the top 10 locations to photograph in the world. Mm-hmm. If you're trying to be a professional photographer or distinguish yourself, is this the image? Like, should this composition and image ever be in your portfolio?
So here's the thing. I think for landscape photographers or photographers that live out west, I think this is super cliche. I don't think I even knew what this place was 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
The only reason that I really know, I remember Pi Jerza, our buddy, he went out there and I was like, what? That's in North America? That was, I think, the first time I knew anything about it. And then we went out there with Elia to film something. And I mean, it's incredible to see in person. But my point is that the average person who's looking at your photography probably does not know what this is.
That's an interesting way to look at it. You know, a lot of times you think the things in my backyard are so cliche that they're not worth shooting.
Right.
But yet we see images. I think there's an image coming up of a place that's probably cliche at that location. But around the world, like, I've never seen it, and it looks really cool to me. You know?
Yeah.
So it's a balance of that. You know, if you're a North American photographer doing landscapes, I don't know. And we took Elia, or Elia took us here to photograph in the World 3 or 4. And part of it was to teach, like, how to get this image to look as good as possible and to showcase popular places that people go to. That's kind of the appeal of that series. But I don't know if Elia really uses that image or location all that much in his promotion, you know?
Well, so this is a bit of an eye-opening thing for me. I assume it was the same for you. I remember when we first met Elia and we saw his portfolio and were blown away, right? And he had these photographs of these places that I had never seen before, but I was never a landscape photographer. I never hung out on 500px.
Instagram had just kind of transitioned.
And I don't do Instagram. Yeah. So, like, I didn't know, right? And I would see these photos that he took in Japan or whatever, and they would, you know, they blow my mind. And then I remember, like, photographs from the same spot would show up on Reddit or something, and I'd see it and I'd go, oh my gosh, Elia, they got the same shot as you. And I would text it over to him, and he would never have the reaction that I thought he would have. I thought his reaction would be like, oh man, they copied me, or oh wow, I guess they have the same idea, or whatever. And I was like, that's weird. Why is Elia never shocked
that somebody's like plagiarizing?
Right. And then I realized that there's like 100 locations on Earth that all landscape photographers go to, and they all cram in shoulder to shoulder, and they all take the exact same picture, and it's like this trading card game that they play. I did not know that.
Yeah.
So, again, to them, it's cliche, but to the average person who sees Elia's work, it's mind-blowing.
It's also, I think, you know, you kind of mentioned, like, trading cards. It's like this challenge of, like, technical prowess. Like, you probably do this with jiu-jitsu all the time. You're like, it's the same moves, but like, I want to get it better and tighter and faster, and like, I want to submit you with something that everybody uses. In some ways, I think with landscape photography, it might be like that too, where you're like, I want to go with the best weather and the best camera and the best lens and the most depth of field. And like, I want to get a file that when it's said and done, it's like, I have technically surpassed everyone else. And, you know, that doesn't really float my boat. But I could see where people are really interested in that, and you've like done something that has never been done before, and it's better. Out of curiosity, did we rate this yet?
Yeah, 2 stars.
I have, to make this a little more interesting, I have done some screen captures of Google Images, because you can't easily show them there. And some of these just show how cliche these are, or they might show an interesting perspective. So here are other examples of this exact same location. And we have some photos, like this one here, that just look
let me go full screen.
Nuclear.
For the guys
it's
at
like
home.
Kind of crazy, right? Like, that image looks insane. But look how similar all of these are. I mean, there's the same image, you know. But I've highlighted one here on the right where they've just shot from a different perspective. And you can't necessarily tell that that is Horseshoe Bend. But in some ways, you know, it's kind of cliche, the small guy in a big landscape. But for me, I almost like this better. It's like this huge canyon that you can't cross with the lake, and it has a totally different feel. I don't know if you agree.
I think I agree only because I have now seen infinite photos of Horseshoe Bend from the exact same spot, wide angle. So it's refreshing to see something a little bit different. But I think if you were a space alien from another planet, or, you know, a normal person who's never been to Horseshoe Bend, or you didn't know what it was, the stereotypical shot in the middle, wide angle, is the shot.
Right.
But there's other shots to be gotten as well.
Yeah. All right, let's move along. Oh boy.
This is a classic, and it's not cliche because it makes no damn sense.
I think that's exactly why it's cliche.
Oh, we're going deep.
Well, I submitted a few images that I happen to have on my computer just to kind of get the ball rolling, because I thought people might be confused on what they should do.
Well, after seeing this, they're very confused.
Yeah, they're very confused. My write-up was that we were doing, you know, I think this was my very first studio. studio strobe shoot ever. We were
Okay.
in your living room.
Yep.
Your roommates were gone. The projector was gone. The Xbox was put away, and we brought out the big lights. You know, we brought out the Octobox and the Dynalights and everything.
Yeah.
And this was the first time I ever really photographed with strobes. And I think it's cliche because it's just like you were in a suit, and hey, why don't you hold up your motocross helmet? Why don't you hold up some flowers? Why don't you have, you know, cookies in your hand? Like, it could just be anything, and it makes no sense. Your collar's sloppy, you look super young, yet you're dressed like some kind of professional.
Yeah.
It's just like, everything about this just feels out of place and weird and strange.
And so, to give a little bit more information, we were shooting for stock photography websites.
That's right.
And we were kind of like spraying and praying in the sense of like, all right, pick that up. Pick up the telephone. Okay, hold a batch of cookies. All right, act like you're angry. Act like you're happy. Act like you're sad.
We'll upload them all, and
Yeah.
as long as they were like sharp and in focus,
Right.
Shutterstock would, or iStock,
Accept them.
they would accept them. And
Yeah,
so-
and then, you know, we were making like 25 cents a sale or whatever, but, you know, it adds up, and sometimes you'd make like $1.50.
yeah, and if you do that hundreds of times as a poor college student or whatever, like I think we had already graduated, somebody with a degree,
Yes.
having that extra $30 a month in your pocket, like that was enough to get a few meals at Moe's and not go hungry.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, I was going to say this can't be cliche because no one in the history of the world has done a photo like this before, but it's cliche stock photography in the sense that, like, get the young
Yeah.
kid who's my friend to dress in a suit because they'll look more mature, and then let's just pick up things as props. So,
It's crazy if you ever go to those stock websites. I don't know if Shutterstock or iStock has removed any of those images or made them harder to find, but when you see great stock photography and then you see stuff like this that's offered up when you type in a keyword and you're like, oh, there is a huge divide in that genre from very high end. What is the guy? Is it Yuri?
maybe.
He has a Shutterstock type website. I think it's called like People Stock or something. His name is YURI. And if you go to it, it's like the most incredible stock photography. I mean, I think this guy built like an airplane hangar with like sets. And everything looks super high end. There's also some really questionable stuff on there, like all his female models he also shoots naked and puts them on as stock. It's weird, but I think there's probably a whole other story going on under the scenes there. But if you look at the stock photography, nothing looks like this. It's all a beautiful multi-million-dollar house with like the beautiful girl and her, you know, biracial kids baking cookies, and you're
Right.
just like, oh my gosh, like that's the image that I would want to represent my brand.
Right.
You're building hot sauce company. You've disclosed that.
I am, yeah.
Are you going to do your own stock photography, or are you just going to go to Yuri's website and just find beautiful pictures that you could put your
Yeah.
stock photo in?
Maybe so. Yeah, whatever's easier. I don't care. You know, like it's the client doesn't know if it's stock or you paid $100 grand for it. So yeah. So anyway, if you guys want to learn how to become incredible stock photographers, maybe we'll do a tutorial on this. We can teach people how to create art like this.
Yeah, and you could make $30 a month extra. You know, with inflation, that adds up. You know.
It actually adds down. 3, 2, 1. 2 stars. It can't be 1. His is certainly not a snapshot, but this is horrific and should never be on somebody's website.
I was watching a video on YouTube the other day about long exposure photography, and in the video, the guy says, long exposure photography immediately makes something not a snapshot. And it made me think of our critique here, and I'm like, that is kind of true, right? Like, you have to put it on a tripod and change the settings. It can't possibly be a snapshot, even if it's a horrendous photo.
Makes sense.
Let's move on. Let's go. Oh, these are out of order.
No, no.
Okay, well, we'll go.
You can back out if you want to.
How do I do this? Oh, no, like that image is the one that's missing. The featured image in our video. Well, we'll just skip it then. I don't know what to do. I thought we counted these. There was 10 images.
Yeah. Did I count wrong?
I don't know.
There's
Something.
always a problem. Why are we so bad at this?
It's because Apple doesn't let you just download the files from your email in the same order that you sent them. It's like they use, if it's A, B, C, D, E, F, they're always out of order. If it's 01, 02, 03, 04, it's out of order. And it's like, why can the iPad not just download files and save them in the correct order? All right, where do you think this possibly could be.
So I thought that you uploaded this photo. I thought that this was Peter Lick's famous phantom shot or whatever that sold for millions of dollars. But I'm
going to be sued by Peter Lick.
I'm seeing this that actually somebody else submitted this. So is this legit a photo that he took? Okay. So this is in Antelope Canyon, which was one of the most impressive businesses I have ever seen in my life. How can people find that behind the scenes video that we made about that place?
I think if you just go to Google and type in Fstoppers, Elia Liccardi, Antelope Canyon, or what it really looks like.
Something like that. We did a behind the scenes video that was called something like What This Place Is Really Like or something like that. It is fascinating. They basically stuff hundreds of people in this canyon, and then you pay extra to have the photo tour, right? And I'm telling you are packed in there, you can barely move. And they have it timed to the second when the beam comes. And they will push everyone out of the way that did not pay for the photography tour. And then they will start throwing sand in the air to get the beam. And there's a bunch of photographers all touching each other's shoulder, all taking the exact same photo.
Yeah.
And then we all come back and we go on Facebook and Instagram and go, look at this incredible, tranquil place that I was able to discover on my own. But literally, it is the most manufactured photo I've ever seen in my life.
The only way they could manufacture this more would be to have like smoke machines installed on the top.
And a light up there that's beaming permanently down.
Yeah, because I think too, the photo tour is only available for like a 3-hour window when the sun's high enough to actually cast the light down. So if you go at 6 in the afternoon or 9 in the morning.
No. This beam only lasts for like 20 seconds.
No. I'm saying the debris in the air that causes the beam to be visible only lasts for a few seconds.
Sure.
But there are times in the day. Don't you remember we were like, we can't go to this location at 2 because at 2 the sun is hitting at an angle where it's not allowing the particles to be backlit the right way. So like you couldn't just you can't go there any time of the day and capture this. You have to go within this small window of time, and then you have to let them throw all the stuff.
Well, that's why they charge you so much more if you're on the photo tour. You're in the exact same location as everyone else. It's just they push everyone else out of the way who didn't pay the money so that you can capture.
And they treat everyone else so horribly. Like they're yelling at people, get back. And like most of these people don't even know what's going on because they didn't even think to pay for the photo tour.
Right, they didn't know.
They're just there with their kids and their kids are wandering around and then they're being yelled at by these like Native Americans that are running this tour and they're like, get back. And then you're like, click, click, click. And I think even some of the tour guides are telling you, you need to shoot at
they're telling you
a 30th of a second.
It's better to get down here. You want to be at 24 millimeters. Get ready. We have 17 seconds. Everybody get down. You need to be kneeling down. Why don't you sit down on your butt, Indian style? It's so weird. I almost enjoyed it more though. It was like if we had gone in there by ourselves, but you still knew the time and like you had a guide or whatever. Obviously, it would have been a different vibe, but there was something to appreciate about just the money-making scheme. They had it perfectly planned out.
Well, it also made me think about what other photos could you take in here that would not be this.
Yeah.
So I started like, we would do behind the scenes of Elia and I would get behind the scenes of you for the behind the scenes. And then all of a sudden I'd start shooting up or I would be shooting different angles or things that were not the most popular. I mean, you get to these curves in the cave where there's so many layers that you're like, that's the shot. But what happens if you go to a place where it's less appealing? Maybe you could get something else. But then somehow Peter Lick has produced the most expensive image photograph ever sold. And is there a scam that's like based on that where the buyer is anonymous?
Yeah, people are saying it might have been him that bought his own print or something just to, raise the price up high. Who knows? But let's rate this thing. 3, 2, 1. I'm in between a 3 and a 4. I mean, this is another example of almost no person on earth would see this and know the story that I just told you all. They would see this and go, that is incredible.
I have to go there and get a better version myself because that's incredible and I can do it better.
Yeah.
But then you get there and you realize like you have no control in the situation. Like the only control you have is the post-processing.
Well, you could tip the guy a little more and he'd like put you in the front.
Well, I have heard that there are other slot canyons where, this is Antelope Canyon. There are other slot canyons, I think one's called like Snake Canyon or something, where they don't do this. And so you literally pay a guy who has access, and it might be like 10 times more, it's a private tour, but you can go to these places, like Peter Lick's image may not be at Antelope Canyon.
I didn't think it was.
It's at another one where he didn't have to deal with all the hoopla, but you know, that you do get a little bit more control, but his image is interesting just because it's got some weird movement where the debris just happens to fall in a more exciting way. Is it called like Ghost?
Phantom or something.
Phantom, that's right. All right, so this image I have posted. You remember when you first got into photography? Did you get these photo magazines?
Yeah.
And every one of them had the same, like, not necessarily the same locations, but they would have the ultra wide angle shot with the river and all of the water coming around.
Sure.
And what was interesting with those images compared to today is in many cases, I feel like those photographers did go find real locations, scouted and came up with unique compositions. Maybe they were still in famous areas, but they picked a place that was unique. But here's one from Utah Outdoors. This was published in 1999, so not that long ago. This isn't like the 80s. But even this picture has a totally different vibe. Like, how many photos have you seen where a person's sitting down like this?
Yeah, but again...
Here's what you normally see when you search Slot Canyon. And this, I use magazine cover as my keyword, but... You know, all these pictures, like even some of these where you're doing what I was doing, you're looking up instead. Yeah. They are still pretty cliche. Unfortunately, I didn't capture all of the super cliche ones with what we're talking about.
Yes.
Maybe here's one right here.
That beam of light looks really nice. Go back to that one where the sand is falling.
Yeah.
So I think we have that exact photo, right?
Yeah.
Like... They literally pushed everyone out of the way and they were like, get ready, everybody get ready, focus on this rock right here. And then the guy just starts throwing sand on the rock.
Yeah, he's right outside the frame. He's like right there where that white line is. And he's throwing stuff up there.
It's just so funny.
So I did include an image that I took during that trip because I processed it in a weird way. I think I've shown this image before, but here was my take on trying to come up with something that looked a little different. I made all of the rocks very blue in the foreground, and then I even thought about like photographing somebody and putting them way down here to make them look like tiny and lighting them from the side. Again, I don't think this is like a great photo, but just trying to make a cliche image look a lot less cliche.
I really like this photo. I mean, would you just desaturate the sides?
One of my favorite tools in Photoshop is to use the color adjustment overlay, layer adjustment. And it's kind of like when you were printing film, you can control the magenta and the cyan and the red. You can control all the colors in the highlights, shadows, and midtones. So for this, I think I just went into the shadows and I moved them all the sliders to kind of a blue and took out the reds and the purples and everything.
Yeah.
And then I just masked out the middle part and kind of changed that a little bit.
I mean, I think it looks incredible, and I, for one, hate spot-colored images.
Yeah.
But this one looks real.
Well, I thought you were going to say you hate my images. So
certainly,
the fact that you like
but this one, like maybe this is super lame because literally this is a spot-colored landscape photograph. I can't really think of anything much more lame than that.
Spot coloring though makes you think it's like desaturated. It's like black and white with red only. And this, I mean,
that's kind of what you
this
got.
has got a lot of blues and cyans. Like I didn't
Okay.
remove. I mean, here I kept some color in there.
Yeah.
I still like the idea of like taking, I should do this, like take some model, guy or girl, have them hold a surfboard, light them from the side, and then composite them small into the bottom there. And just make it to where you're like, whoa, what's going on in this photo? It's like a guy going surfing in this crazy canyon, and he's tiny. It would just be like this, we talked about this last time, you haven't played with the AI augmented stuff
I wanted
yet.
to do that.
It's like that, but with real photography, where what does Alaya call it? Where you take multiple scenes and you can composite like a different mountain range into it. You're like using photography to actually create your own augmented reality image, but it's not made with an AI engine. It's you actually doing it.
Yeah, but that's kind of lame. But go ahead. Let's move on.
I don't know. I think it could be kind of cool. All right.
So how is this cliche? I mean, this just looks like a good photo. Is it cliche because we got the like painted muslin background?
So this photographer, I think, made a behind the scenes video that I kind of skimmed through. It's not edited and produced really well, but she kind of films the whole process of doing this in her tiny living room. If you read the description, I think she said it's cliche because it's a painted background with Moody, overhead light.
Hand-painted canvas backdrop, check. Moody lighting, check. Yeah, but it's also so classic and simple that I don't think I would call this cliche. I would just call this very well done.
Well, yeah.
Are you ready to rate it?
I am ready.
Let's go. 3, 2, 1.
Are we rating this a 4 because the competition is so bad that it is skewed? It's made us biased towards.
I'm not going to be upset if you rated this at 3, but I think this is an excellent photograph. I think the model looks great. I think the set looks awesome. The clothing looks great. The lighting. I mean, what else do you want?
She had 3 or 4 other images that she submitted. Totally different wardrobe, and they look awesome as well. I just picked this one because it was the highest rated, and I felt like I could critique this a little bit more than the other ones. The other ones are great. I mean, they're solid 4s, so definitely go to the link in the description to see all the contest entries. What do you think? I just released this video today about fill light, and you and I got in this little argument off camera about, like, you need to add more fill to open the shadows and stuff. Do you feel like this image, like, when I look at it on the screen, I mean, do you want a little more detail in the shadows, or do you feel like it works with everything kind of falling? Like, you think of Anne Leibovitz, you think of Vanity Fair, you think of all these like cliche photography shoots that go in this style. Do you feel like they always have a little more detail than what maybe you would produce without a big fill light?
I don't know. I'm not going to be upset if there's a little more fill, but I don't know. Maybe under her chin, on her neck is a little dark, but I think it looks good. I think potentially my bigger issue might be the angle of the shoot. Like the fact that she's shooting down on her, I think that hand-painted backdrop looks really nice, but the floor feels like the cheapest aspect of this photograph to me. I want to see less floor.
Yeah. Do you think it looks cheap because it's one of those like we have some in our studio?
Do you think
here.
this is a fake floor?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think she talks about it in the video. It's like a printed floor.
Okay.
And I don't know how you make those things look real. Like, I've taken photos in our studio here where I've just put those down mainly so that they're not rolled up in the corner, and they also help with sound.
Yeah.
But when I look at them, I'm like, they look kind of fake. But when you really look at them, you're like, they're printed really well, and it looks like a photograph. I just did this video with the Duo boards, and it's a product board that V-Flat World makes. Right. And you can shoot on them. It's kind of like this desk that we have here where it's a fake surface, but they look so good. And I keep thinking, like, why do the floor mats look so bad? Is it just, there's something psychological where the floor shouldn't be perfectly flat if it's boards. And somehow we can tell that that is perfectly flat?
Not sure. Next up.
All right. This image is the absolute lowest rated image in the entire critique.
Really?
Yeah, so part of me thinks that this should be the person who gets the random free tutorial because they're at the bottom.
You know what's crazy though is like I think my photography at the beginning of my career was kind of like this too. It's like, I would have just gotten a wide angle lens. I would be trying to photograph like the cute girl I know and she's willing to pose in a bikini. So it's like check, check. And then I don't know that I own a samurai sword, but like somebody has one and it's like, oh, hold this. It's like it's like the picture of me holding the helmet. Yeah. Why? Because it was there.
Yeah. Well, why is the samurai sword out in the middle of this field? Was that just something that they happened to have in the truck, or?
I mean, obviously a neckbeard is the photographer here, but
There's like some really famous like samurai sword YouTube videos, right, where the kids are all like, there's a guy, is it samurai?
I mean, well, like when all the fat guys are
Yeah.
cutting the bottles and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are classic, internet classics.
Is there one where the guy like cuts himself or something?
Don't know about that. I mean,
It's like
there's
QVC.
one, there's a QVC where the guy's like, you can't hurt this katana, and he's like hitting the table,
one
and then
thing.
it bounces and stabs him and impales him live on TV. That was one of like the first viral videos on the internet.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
What does this guy have to say about his approach? Like, what was he thinking going through this?
Let's see. So this work of art was taken by, sorry, I'm having trouble finding it here. Here we go. This was taken by George Popescu. This shot was on a beach after a swimsuit photo shoot. There's nothing more cliche than a bikini model with a katana shot with a fisheye lens. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of another example. Like, it's not cliche in any way. It's probably never been done before, but it's cliche because it makes no sense and it's horrible photography.
I don't know if I should even say this, but
Oh boy.
I'm going to.
Oh boy.
When the photographer says this was a cliche photo taken after the swimwear shoot, my mind goes to like Joey Wright, somebody that we know that takes incredible swimwear photos.
Mm-hmm.
But then you look at this and you're like, the composition's weird, the model's pose is weird, the blown out highlight's weird. Does any part of you read into this and think like, what do the professional swimwear shots from this other session look like? Like, if you put a fisheye lens on and had the model do this,
Mm-hmm.
would your photo be better than how this turned out, or?
I mean, this is bad on every level. Like I said, when I first started photography, and I thought because my lens is expensive, it must take good photos. Like, I would think stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because the girl is sexy, she's going to look like a model in my photos. That's how I thought at the beginning of my photography career. And so this just feels like, you know, that first 6 months when I got a DSLR, no thought is going into composition. No, but I see what you're saying.
Like, but was there thought going into 30 minutes prior? Like,
I'm going to guess no, the other photos are bad too. Okay. I'm just going to throw that out there. But I could be wrong. Sorry, George.
We've ruined everybody's self-esteem in this
That's right.
critique. All right, here's the next image. And I want to say the reason this guy thought this image was cliche doesn't really make sense to me. Like, I think you might just read it, but I think he was saying like this reminds him of the 1970s tanning salon poster prints. And I'm like, man, I've been to some tanning salons before in my life, and they have like, they're always ads. It's ads for like the spray and the tanning solution, or it's a horrible photo. This photo to me doesn't really look that bad.
I agree.
If this was printed in the 70s and put in a store, I would be like, man, they're ahead of their time. Like, that actually looks better than probably what I would imagine.
Yeah, and so that's what's kind of difficult about the theme of cliche is, yes, tons of people have taken pictures at a beach with a palm tree in the foreground and a surfer in the background, whatever, but can the subject alone be cliche? You know, it's like, is taking photos of the stars cliche? I don't know that I would go that far.
Yeah, I think it's just everything coming together. If it's the stars over Horseshoe Bend or something, and we're like, oh man, like, I feel like we've seen this before.
Are you ready to rate it?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. We didn't rate the katana one.
I think we know what we would have rated that.
I mean, that could have been a 1 star.
Yeah. It was the lowest rated image in the entire critique.
Which is interesting because it was bad, but also the highest rated image in the entire critique was bad too.
Yeah. So in this critique, you're actually better off being kind of in the middle.
Who knows?
Anything that you can say to like improve
I don't.
this
I mean,
image, or like
I gave this 3 stars, but as a professional, this does not feel like a photograph taken by a professional photographer.
really?
No, it feels like a advanced hobbyist. I just don't think a professional who is well into their career takes photos like this, and they certainly wouldn't put photos like this on their website. So for that reason, I'm kind of leaning towards a 2 stars. I think this is well done, but because kind of the subject matter and the simplicity of it, it just doesn't feel like a professional image to me.
Does he say if he knew this guy? Like, did he tell him to go pose there, or he just happened to snap this?
He does not say that.
Trying to think how to make this image more professional. Like going through, like I've been looking at some high-end commercial photographer and celebrity photographers' Instagrams just to try to pull myself out of a creative rut. And an image like this, it's kind of all about mood, and it's kind of all about lifestyle, and it's being there. And I feel like this is the most simple way to capture that. You've shown everything. But I would imagine a higher-end photographer who does want to publish this image and does want to put it on their Instagram, what would they have done? They probably would have had the model closer to the camera and like had them walking into the scene. Imagine the whole left side of the frame is a person.
Yeah.
Maybe even like out of focus, you know? And it's like you're there and you're like tight. So many high-end photographers, they're shooting tighter than you would think.
Yeah.
They're cropping heads and headshots. They're like getting in tight to the action. Think of all those Red Bull Illume photos. They have a category, and it's called like detail or event or competition. And you see these pictures, and it's like they're messy and out of focus, and there's motion blur. And I feel like a lot of times as professional photographers, we get away from that. We think, I can't have any blurriness in my photos. I can't have anything out of focus. I can't have anything cropped out. Everything's important. I need to show it all.
Right.
And so I think for an image like this, you could go a million ways. And I know you accuse me of being like, why don't we do this? Why don't we have 5 surfers? Like, but if you had the surfer's board going towards the sun and they're like right there close to the camera and like it's got this vibe of like we're going out to the beach.
Right.
Something like that might change it. And then the post-processing, this might, although it's very contrasty and it has a lot of detail in it, I feel like you could also like pull back the blacks and make it a little more matte and give it more of like that Instagram, maybe that's a cliche tweak, but...
You're trying to make it even worse. All right, let's move on.
Oh my gosh.
Is this Iceland? What is this?
This is Australia.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that Australia had this type of coastline.
No. He says this is the absolute most cliche photo you could take if you live.
You see, like that's a good example. Like, I didn't know that. I thought this was on the complete opposite side of the globe. So, even though it might be cliche to you, it's probably not to the average human.
What's awesome about this location is that so many of these places, like if you've been to, I can't even pronounce the name, the place in Iceland with the cliffs, or the Cliffs of Moher, all these places that have these shears. I mean, we've been to some in, there's some here in Puerto Rico, and then there, you know, all the islands in the Caribbean have like the south side of the island, usually Curacao, has something, maybe not this crazy, but something like this. Very few of them ever have like beaches at the bottom that look like you would actually want to go to. They're always like certain death down there.
No,
you know?
right, rocky.
Right, and so like to see an image like this, it makes me think, man, if you could go down there and the tides don't come up and, you know, give you no surface, this would be like the most epic place to just hang out on the beach.
Right before your death. Dude, have you seen this avalanche video that was just posted on Reddit yesterday?
No.
It is insane. This guy is recording on his phone. He's in like this rocky canyon. There's no snow anywhere.
Snow or rocks? Like snow.
No snow.
Okay.
And he's looking way off into the distance, dude. I mean, it's so far away. And there's this like canyon slot, and all of a sudden you just see snow coming through this hole. But it's miles away, right?
Yeah.
You know, like no problem. It keeps coming and coming and coming. And this guy is recording. He does not budge. And it engulfs him. It is one of the craziest videos I have ever seen. It's on the subreddit Praise the Cameraman. So if you're watching this, go to Praise the Cameraman. I guarantee you'll see it. It's got to be one of the highest rated videos. Like, people are like, this is the greatest cameraman of all time. And the guy said the reason, he was like, luckily everybody who I was on the trip with survived because like we were just far enough away that when the snow got to us, it was like...
Moving slower or...
No, it's so fast, man. It is so
it's like
fast.
Cooling, it's like warming up, or
no, he said it was
powdery,
it was powdery, and he was able to like jump under a rock, and it's just he said it was like a blizzard all around him. But when it stopped, he was able to just kind of like walk out.
Wow.
But it is one of the wackiest videos I have ever seen in my entire life, and it just came out yesterday. So sorry to everybody watching, I can't show it to you right now.
Did you see this video of like the F1 race the last few days? I don't know if that was on yesterday with Wimbledon, but this car is just flipping and it's just coming towards the audience. And you're just like, are these people gonna move? And luckily, I mean, you've seen some horrific like boat videos, especially where the boats like go up in the air and like, you know.
Yeah.
This F1 car just feels like it's about to kill so many people.
But
and the guy just stands there. I mean, maybe this is in your subreddit that you like. He's just standing there filming it all, and you just like think, shouldn't they be running? There was a firework video too. Did you see this one that came out like 4th of July? These guys, it's like a security camera, and people are firing fireworks.
Oh yeah, with like the little baby.
And like
right
somebody gets mad because a bottle rocket almost hits their baby, and then like 5 seconds later, everything is just exploding around them.
That's a good video. Yeah, that's a good video. All right, we should probably move on. We're talking about things that aren't.
All right, let's
remotely
critique
related.
this one.
Oh, okay. 3, 2, 1.
I'm gonna give this a 4.
What?
You're giving this a 2? You don't like this image?
I just feel like the post-processing feels a little like weird HDR-ish to me, and then the composition feels strange. Like it's dead on the left side. It almost feels like it should be a vertical image.
I mean, could you just move it a little bit more?
Maybe. I don't know.
I really like the post-processing. This feels like... It feels muted. It feels...
It does look better now that I see it up close.
It feels like it's not overly done.
But look, dude, look at these rocks back here. Look at how much shadow recovery has been done in Photoshop. It just looks all like hazy.
I don't know. I really like it. What did he have to say about this image?
Let's see.
It's like really nice time of day.
This was taken by Mike, and he says, can't think of a more cliche photo in my arsenal. 12 Apostles, Great Ocean Road, Victoria, Australia.
So this is another image where I just Googled it to see what the other options were. And this brings up an interesting conversation that we've had with Elia about like tour books and stuff, how their images never ever look like the photos that photographers take. They're always like more like this, where they're taken in the middle of the day, and the ocean's always super blue and the sky's super blue, but the photography itself is always kind of HDR'd. It's not like, you know, it's stuff like this. It just doesn't look good. But those are the images that, I mean, are those images better at marketing? Like you and I are trying to take these incredible sunrise and sunset images, or times when you can get the most detail out of the scene, and from a photographic standpoint, we think that's the best. Yet all these big publishers that are in the business of selling tons of books are not choosing those kind of images at all. Like, what do you think's going on there? Do you think
I just don't know that they're thinking that much about it. I think
the cover of a little book that's like, you know, all the spots in Iceland, and they're going to use Iceland. They probably would, but vacation spots where it's supposed to feel warm and sunny. They don't, like Positano. I bet you it's not some beautiful sunset shot with all the lights on. It's probably some harsh daylight shot showing the beautiful blue water.
I just think a lot of these tour guide books, if you look at the graphic design of the cover and the typeface and everything, they're not beautifully made art books. It's like an encyclopedia for traveling to a city, you know?
Yeah.
So I think
some thought should go into it, right?
You would
they
think,
just have chosen not to do that.
Or they're just not. That's just. I think their focus is more of like, we have to share the data in this book rather than make this some beautiful thing. I just don't think they. I don't think they look at it like we do.
Yeah. Looking at any of these, does this make you feel better about what the photographer did? I mean, these are kind of cool. It's like an aerial shot here.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But, some of these, like, look at the post-processing on that. And if you read the websites, they're all like TripAdvisor, Explore the Great Ocean Road. Like, they are exactly, travel websites.
Next.
All right, here we go. Another cliche.
Now, this doesn't look like HDR to you either, does it?
This looks crazy to me.
Yeah.
I definitely don't really like this, but this is the Cosmopolitan.
I don't know.
That's one of my favorite hotels there. We went there for my bachelor party, and we ate at that one of the breakfast places that had like the crazy line. And I think it was you who was like, I think I can just go talk to the hostess and get us to bypass the whole line. And we were like, no way, dude. There's like 200 people in front of us.
Hour and a half wait.
And next thing I know, you're like, hey guys, we're ready to go get seated.
It was the weirdest thing.
You had to pay for some membership or something weird?
They wanted us to, but then she was like, does anybody have like a Delta Sky Miles Club? And Mike was like, yeah. And she was like, just go in.
Okay.
And we skipped the whole line.
I don't remember the name of that restaurant, but if you're ever... And was that even the best restaurant, or was it hyped up? Like, I remember that brunch.
It was pretty good.
It was pretty good.
The best one, the best buffet I think I've ever had was at the Bellagio. I don't remember the name of it, but that buffet, man.
Yeah. That you went on your own?
Yeah, I woke up early because you guys were staying out like getting too drunk every night, and I was going home, going to sleep early, and then I was waking up early and
nothing to do.
Yeah, you guys were all asleep, so I was like, I gotta go hit up these buffets, man. And that's when I stopped being a vegetarian. I was a vegetarian for like 4 years, and then when I went to Vegas with you on your bachelor party, I was like, I'll just try a little meat here and there.
You go to these buffets and they just have like all you can eat crawfish, and you're like, how? Like, it's so crazy to think that they're so profitable, or is the food a lower quality? Like,
it was pretty good, man.
Because I mean, what is it's like? Is it like $100 to get in per person?
No,
it's less than that. 60,
200. I don't even think we were paying. I thought we were paying like $40.
$40,
something like that. Yeah, maybe like at the Bellagio.
You can't even get like a couple
50.
things of crab legs for $40.
I know.
It doesn't make sense. I mean, I guess it all goes back to the gambling. They're making so much money at the casino side that they can afford to entice you with the food and lose a ton of money.
You feel like going back to Vegas in September?
I could do that. Like, I have a specific day. I think it's September 26th. I have to leave. Like, I have to be on the island to get my days for the tax incentive here. I have no days to spare.
I think we're going before then.
Damn it.
Isaac, my buddy got ADCC tickets. Absolutely no one watching the. Okay.
What is ADC?
September 17th through 18th. So it's the biggest jiu-jitsu tournament in the world. And I don't think I'm that excited to... Like, I like doing jiu-jitsu. I don't really like watching people do it. But this is, like, the best people from all over the world.
I feel like the search on our YouTube channel is all jiu-jitsu. You just like watching instructional video on jiu-jitsu?
I never search for jiu-jitsu content. Like,
I
if
used
it comes
to come
up,
into the old office and you just be watching these like programs where they're just like rolling and rolling and rolling.
I mean, I'm not going to say I never watch it, but I usually don't. Anyway, we're getting off topic again. Las Vegas, photo. Are you ready to rate this?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Really? 2, 3 stars. This should be in your portfolio. That is what you're telling this guy.
I'm torn because I feel like this image could be used in Vegas and it could be at the airport and you can make money with the postcard. Doesn't mean that it's like the best version of this photo.
But the post-processing's weird.
I agree, but there's a lot of postcards and advertisement photos that have weird post-processing. I don't know. To give it a 2, it's like between a 2 and a 3. It's...
All right, we got some people on YouTube Live who just watched the Avalanche video.
Yeah.
It's one of the greatest videos of the year, for sure.
He'd have to change his underwear after it. What could you do different that would...
I don't know.
The highlights? Is it the shadows?
It's the shadows.
Is it the time of day? Is this too much ambient light? Shooting in Vegas is tricky because very few places in the world.
What do you mean too much ambient light? Like not enough ambient light?
When I say ambient light... Okay, so when I say ambient light with normal photography, it's like natural light versus strobe light.
Yeah.
In this situation, this feels like there's too much ambient artificial light. It's like too late in the day. You don't have enough daylight ambient to balance the artificial ambient.
So I just pulled this up on my MacBook here, and honestly,
Now you're saying
I like it a little bit more. I might change it to a 3.
so. It's another side conversation, but people always say like Apple is so good with their colors. It's consistent among all devices.
it might be.
I can understand looking up here on the monitor, but
It's pretty close.
yeah. So just from the angle, you felt like,
I just look muddier from the angle.
man, CVS, goodness, they have like the largest ad in the whole. You remember this hotel we stayed at? It starts with a D, and the bathrooms in there are like the shower.
They were like clear. Yeah, we could see each other sitting on the toilet or taking a shower from the bed. We were sharing a room, and I'm like, this is so
So you
awful.
go in the shower, and like you don't necessarily know because it's dark in the room that they can see you. But if you're in the bed, you're just like, oh, damn it! Like I got to get up and leave.
Yeah, it'd be fine for couples, not business partners.
Yeah, I don't know how we got into that hotel. It was like the best deal on the trip or something. But all right, I have out of curiosity, I've added Elia Liccardi's image to see what he did from almost the exact same location.
Is it? Let me go.
This is wider. This is wider. So like what I was doing is let's look at this little Paris balloon and see how it lines up perfectly with the wing of the building behind it.
Okay.
And then go to this guy's, and you go to the Paris balloon, and it's off just a little bit. So like, I think it's still the Cosmopolitan, but like maybe he's closer to the edge, and Elia was more towards the middle. But here's a very big difference. And I don't know if you absolutely love Elia's version either, but this is drastically different times a day.
I don't know if drastic. It might be like minutes different.
Maybe, but the shutter is different, or I don't know, this just has so much blue light. It almost feels like it was taken a little too late in the day. This shot, I can't remember what Elia did. This might be a composite of like 3 different times a day, but this definitely has more of that pre-blue hour, early blue hour light in it.
I feel like Elias feels a little bit more real to me. I think he has recovered the sky a bit to make it that dark, but I don't know. I feel like both types of exposures are important. And even if the first one we looked at was a little bit overdone, like you said, they probably sell 10,000 postcards that look like that every single day.
It kind of makes me wonder, like, are these both on opposite spectrums, and like the best shot would be somewhere in between the two?
You might be right. I think
this makes you feel like nightlife, right? And then Elias, I don't really feel like this is like we're getting ready and we should go out soon.
Right. Or like Vegas is shut down for COVID right now, but we're gonna open up later.
Well, nobody wants that image, right?
Feels like, yeah. All right, let's move on.
All right, that's the last image.
Oh, we don't have this one.
If you take this off the screen, I can try to see if I can pull it up really quickly.
Let me do it.
In your email. Because that is the featured image, and I'm like shocked that
So you picked an image, but then that photographer saw that you picked his image, and
No. I just picked
the featured image on YouTube.
So why does Apple do this too? It like doesn't download all of them, and it does this like tap to download.
Every day working with Patrick, he has these little like mini meltdowns of rage that have to do with software or hardware now, where it's always electronically based. And it's very interesting to me that he's gotten as good as he is at things like guitar. He's like a pro-level guitar player, but it seems like if he gets so frustrated by like not being able to work email or his cell phone, how did he ever
photo app
spend enough time playing guitar to get this good? I don't know.
And I'm still struggling. Like I saved the image, but where did it go?
Can you just open it from there?
They're not side by side. So like here.
Oh, there's like a problem with it. Just do that. Just do that. There we go. Oh, what the fuck? This is not a touchscreen computer. I'm having trouble now. Okay.
So this is an image, a cliche image theme that I can recall. You gotta look at the booty a little bit better.
That ass though. I didn't mean to do that. I was hoping it would go full screen.
I can recall this type of image from my childhood. Like, I used to go to Walmart, and when my mom would shop, I would go to the magazine section, and I would look at guitar magazines. Maybe it was comic books before that, but always in the magazine section, there were all these, like, motocross magazines, and they always had the girls, you know, with the high heels and the bikinis, and they're next to, maybe it wasn't motocross, maybe it was, like, you know, classic cars. And I just always remember, like, at the time I wasn't a photographer, but I would always remember, like, something feels weird about that.
Yes.
They don't go together.
Right.
It feels
They're
cheap.
not related in any way.
Yeah, and so when this image was submitted, I was like, we need to include that. And then as I was trying to figure out the featured image for this video, this actually felt like the most cliche photo of all of them.
The reason why it's not that cliche is, like you said, it's usually... Although I haven't seen much dirt bike photography, so maybe this is cliche, but I would think it would be the hot girl laying on the normal motorcycle or the classic car or the rat rod or whatever.
What does that mean? That this isn't a hot enough girl? This isn't shot in a
high
enough way? This isn't
No. That it's this like off-road motocross bike. I just haven't seen the girl posing with that, so it doesn't feel as cliche as it could be. I agree with you. It doesn't really seem to fit, but...
Like the shot of the Corvette with the door open and the girls coming out,
right.
You know? Like, all that's got to go out of your portfolio, right?
Yeah, that's got to go.
Can't have any of it.
All right, are you ready to rate this?
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1. 2 stars. I mean, maybe this is cliche, but it's also just bad. It's just bad lighting. It's a bad pose. It's just bad.
So I gotta go out and I can find. I did find. Here's what Google has to show for this. If you I don't remember what I typed in, like motocross babe.
Oh, okay. So I was wrong. It's very cliche.
It's very cliche.
Okay.
It's just, you know, is it a motocross bike or is it a sports car? Like, I think they're kind of the same genre. But, like, the better ones, I mean, I don't even know if you could say they're better. It's like just the photography level is higher.
Yeah, the lighting's better and stuff.
You know, but it's, you know, stuff like this. I was like, what? What is going on here? It's just like fulfilling a fantasy of people where they're like, I love bikes, I love women. Let's put them together.
It's like when George starts eating during sex and he's combining his two loves, and then he tries to have like sex while eating while watching television. He's got like the little TV.
I haven't seen this one.
What?
No, like,
oh my gosh.
You've seen every Seinfeld like 5-10 times.
Oh, I bet you I've seen every Seinfeld like 30 or 40 times.
30 or 40 times. My favorite show I haven't even seen that many times.
Yeah,
a movie. I don't even know if there's a movie I've seen 30 times. You've seen a whole series?
I used to just
10
like...
years of
my... Like throughout all of college, like if I was ever working or whatever, I'd just have Seinfeld just like playing.
Well, I remember when I met you back when we shot those pictures with the motocross helmet to kind of bring this all full circle.
Yeah.
You know, I'd come over to your house and Chris would be like, "Oh, I think you are in your bedroom."
Yeah.
And I would knock, and then you'd be like, "Hey, I'm in the bath," and you'd be in the bath with a laptop that was specifically to stay in the bathroom. It was a little tiny, like 14-inch or 13-inch laptop. Maybe it was like small.
It might have been a DVD player.
And you were just watching Seinfeld while soaking in the bath. And I remember being like, dude, how am I friends with this guy? Like, this is kind of weird. And it happened on many occasions. It wasn't just like I randomly came over and you were in the bath.
Yeah.
I mean, still to this day when we travel and have to share the hotel room with the shower. Thank goodness it just had a shower.
Can you believe in my home I don't even have a bath anymore?
What do? You just go to the pool.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
Times are tough around here.
All right. Well, we made it through. I hope that was entertaining, and hope there was something to be learned from it. Nothing to be learned.
No, this was a total disaster of a show.
But that's why our show is always a disaster.
If you would like to be a part of the next critique, it's going to be personal projects, which may or may not be series of photos.
It could be one. If
you set
out to take one image, like I have a desire. I've talked about this for years, but like I want to get one image that actually gets submitted and rated or ranked into the Red Bull Illume. Crazy sports image.
That's a good.
And
goal.
it's just one image.
Yeah.
You just go to like I have this desire to go to the biggest waves in the world. I got on this wave kick where you like biggest waves are in Tahiti or Portugal has one. I think Portugal has the biggest wave. It's horrifying. You watch this thing. And I'm not going to get out in the water. Like, that would be my death, right? But to go somewhere beautiful and set up the perfect sports image that looks crazy. That could just be one image. It's probably all it's going to be is one image. But that was a personal project where I put a lot of time and effort and maybe even money into accomplishing it.
I like that goal. I think you could do it. I think it'd be a great behind-the-scenes video.
My pictures of the guns that got me on Fox.
That's true.
The stun gun got me on CNN and a bunch of stuff. Like, those are personal projects where you set out
Where
to do
can people
something.
see you on Fox? Where is
If you
that?
go to patrickhall.photography,
Okay.
I couldn't buy.com. patrickhall.photography, you can go down Guns for Christmas and that video clip.
Is there not an easier way? Like, it's not on YouTube or
I don't think so.
Isn't it on your Fstoppers portfolio? No.
Maybe you can find it there. I just know it's on my website. I keep thinking, should I be releasing that every Christmas and just getting more views and more people mad? And like, I feel like that video has more social commentary today.
That video
ever.
is well, yeah, especially because like we keep having the crazy school shootings and stuff. Tucker Carlson keeps like making up like I saw some video of Tucker Carlson saying that what was it? It was like white women are telling white young men that they have privilege and that's making them go insane and that's making them like what he was saying was retarded. And in your video where he's interviewing you, he's like, you should buy a gun, they're fun. And it's like, I get it. Many of my friends have guns. Like, I enjoy shooting. It can be fun. It just feels like a really strange thing to say on national television. Maybe I'm in the minority here.
When I was on that show, I don't think he had his own show yet. Right? He didn't become the Tucker Carlson that he is today.
Right.
And there was something even I naively said where somebody mentioned they had a 40 caliber on the 50 caliber. And like, I don't know enough about guns to know if that's true, but like, obviously he didn't either. Because they were
really?
Well, they were all like, whoa, a girl can handle a 50 caliber. Like, and maybe just on the news, you're not going to like correct and be like, I don't think that was a 50 caliber. You're going to make some funny comment, but it just felt like he didn't really know either. Like gun enthusiasts are like, that's not a 50 cal.
Oh, it's not? I thought that was a 50 caliber gun.
No, it's not.
Oh.
They're saying a 50 caliber gun is like way like she couldn't have just lifted it up. I mean, it's insane. I don't know if it's a 40 caliber or 30 caliber.
Oh, okay.
You want to look up with a 50 caliber?
Holding a 50 cal.
All I'm trying to say was it just kind of viewing that clip back now, several years later, it just feels like he really didn't totally know what he was talking about either. I mean, that people are hand holding that gun.
So I'm looking at a photo of somebody holding a 50 cal, and it looks like the girl that you photographed holding a 50 caliber gun. So
I was just told that she did not actually have a 50 caliber gun, but
interesting. Well, check it out. It's hilarious. Patrick looks like a pedophile.
I grew a mustache. I like shaved a mustache just for the shoot to make it like a parody, and then that, like, I look like Wyatt Earp going on Fox News, being like this token dude who's. It's funnier as time goes by because I didn't really think much about it. I was just like, this is an easy personal project that I could knock out in a day, and then it started to get this attention, and then I was like, I'll just shave my beard off and make myself look.
Do you have? Well, I guess. Like you said, that wasn't Tucker Carlson's show. That was
Fox and Friends.
Fox and Friends. Do you have contacts at Fox? Like if you did some other crazy photo series, could you get back to them easily?
Probably. I mean, they contacted me through an email to do that whole series, so I think I could, but it just, I don't know. I like this idea of could you just make another viral series? Could you just take pictures of teenagers holding guns in front of a school that's like closed? Like you couldn't do that, but if you went to a school that was abandoned and you just did a series where you just have kids holding guns in front of the doors of a school, and then you're just like, look at these pictures. It's like our media is so dumb that you could just make up these ideas, and I feel like
the thing is like the Guns for Christmas thing that you shot was perfectly right down the middle, because people who hate guns were outraged, but people who love guns were like, wow, what a pro-gun series this is, right?
But I feel like guns are always like that. Like, if you did pregnant women with their gun on their belly, that would have the same thing. It would be like
where did you come up with that?
Just try to think of stuff. Like,
you're a genius.
You're just like, people who hate guns are like, we are breeding children into our society and making them these like serial killers. And then pro-gun people are gonna be like, that's my damn constitutional right to have a gun on my baby's belly. Like, I don't know. I feel like guns are very easy to separate the population out.
But
like,
not if it's teens in front of schools holding guns. That is like, everyone will not like that.
But you'd have to have another twist to where you're like, these are actually kids in the sharpshooting contest. Like, you know, it's like, these are all people who...
These are the security guard in civilian clothing when they're not on duty, and they would be protecting from the mass shooter.
Yeah, but now you're like, I don't know. You come up with this idea, and it's like so twisted that they're going to be like, oh, it's a gotcha moment. You can't make it a gotcha moment. You have to make it to where you're just like, why are Americans giving themselves guns for Christmas? But then the other side is like, yeah, I've gotten guns for Christmas. That's totally normal. And you like you said, you thread this needle. I don't know, these political type of, like, I never thought that's what the taser shoot was, but it kind of became that too. You know, or like the slapping videos were all popular. Like, they all have that thread where you're like, it's kind of a weird social experiment. But have we just become so immune to all this that those videos now do not?
Well, while we're live on the air, and maybe we shouldn't come up with this live on the air, but is there something that you could do on the left-leaning side of things that would be similar to the Guns for Christmas shoot that you did? But it would be like abortions for Halloween, or I don't know what it would be. But when like the super libtards see it, they're like, hell yeah, you know, we're empowered. But then when conservatives see it, they would be outraged.
I mean,
and then you could get on CNN.
I don't know how you would do it, but if you had women holding their abortions, that would be freaking crazy.
Whoa, these got too far.
But that's the reaction.
Too far.
That's the reaction.
No one's gonna publish that. That's
But
horrific.
that's why you do it. That's why you do it. Is it would be so. These are so horrific. Tucker is gonna be like, we can't even show you.
And
the
then
pictures.
CNN will be like, this is beautiful. She's holding a piece of her own body.
Look at it. It's just like some cell. You can't. It's nothing. It's just like a little thing of something. I had another idea.
I don't want to hear it.
No, that was the most extreme idea. What was it? It was like dressing your children as the other gender in preparation for them to make the decision on what gender that they are.
That could be it.
Just come up with these ideas left and right, you know. And the right would be like, this is so awful. And then the left would be like, what a responsible way to prepare kids to make such an important decision in their life. I've just given you so many ideas, Lee. Like,
I don't want to do it.
You've never
You're that guy. You're that guy. You could put on your Yosemite Sam outfit.
I don't want to be that guy, but I've already done two that have kind of pushed me in that direction.
You are that guy.
I'm definitely not doing women like that's. I wouldn't have the stomach for that. Like, that's too much. But you know, if you had like little kids that they dress like the other genre, the other gender,
yeah,
like that wouldn't seem that bad. But it's also finding kids, and I don't know that. It's a lot of effort, but it could get you on the news.
But
it could be a career-defining moment.
Yeah. I was going to say, we have friends here who would just let you photograph their kids, but then I'm like, knowing that potentially this could become super viral, they probably don't want their kids in photos like this.
Yeah, but if they didn't look like their kids, maybe that's the easy element here. It's like they look so different that the kid would never be. And you don't attach the kid's name, so you can't reverse Google them. You need to sign the waivers and everything. But if you could do it right, like a lot of these ideas, I think this is why it's a personal project, is you have to sit and like throw a crazy idea out. And then you get the reaction like you just had, and you're like, that's the one. And then you refine it, and you make it to where you're like, how would this actually logistically happen? How do we get around this? How do we get around that? And
the Guns for Christmas idea was so simple, though. Yeah. You know, you had talked about it for a while. It was so easy to produce. you just heard that people got guns for Christmas and then went out to the range. Was it that day or the next day or something?
Yeah, they're like on Christmas Day. Like my dad tried to take me to the gun range to shoot some guns, and it was a disaster. We couldn't get in because so many rednecks are out there with their guns.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's that busy. There's immediately.
Did you go out there on Christmas Day to do it?
Yeah, I went out there. Like, we opened presents, and I went
good.
out there like 1 o'clock. And I was like, that's the easy. I like ideas where the people come to you. And so you don't have to like scout and hire people, like bring people in.
No,
you
you're
just
absolutely
throw an
right.
event.
You're absolutely
They all
right.
come, and
Yeah.
then you can just knock out a bunch of pictures.
So Ryan here is suggesting drag queens with guns, but drag queens with guns in the opposite bathroom. The problem with that is that it just pisses off all sides. Like the liberals, it pisses off because of guns, and the conservative, it pisses off because of drag queens in the bathroom. The brilliance of your Guns for Christmas shoot was that, like I said, depending on where you fall politically, you love it or you hate it. But there's very few people who see it and are indifferent about it. Whereas the drag queens and guns in opposite bathrooms, everybody's offended for some reason.
And I don't think that we see enough drag queens in normal day-to-day life that like Fox News would even want to put that on, you know? It's got to be something where it looks so real and you're not playing a character and you're not, I mean, even though I was on Fox News with the mustache, like I was kind of playing a character. The photos themselves, you're just like, wait, this family has their little girl with the headphones on and she's holding her doll on the firing range? Like that really happened, and you're just like, that's pretty crazy. So it needs an element of, you know, authenticity and realism for it to kind of hit. But while we're talking about this, I think this is one of the most important things photographers can do is just brainstorm and think and creatively push their creative mind. Because I mean, I find this with our YouTube videos. So many times it's like we gotta go take a portrait. And we just like do the first thing that we think of that day. Let's sit on an apple box, you know. And you're like, after a while, you look at these pictures and you're like, man, I don't like they're fine. They're like solid threes that could go in a portfolio maybe, but there's really no fulfillment there.
Sure.
And I think a lot of what we learned with COVID and being stuck at home and not being able to do projects that we're passionate about and interact with people is that, you know, you have to find meaning in the work that you do, and putting some time and effort into your personal projects. And I always look at Mike Kelly, like he's failed at some of them, but more times than not, they've been huge successes. And they've taken money and time, and maybe the first one or two that he did, like, aren't even gonna make the project because they suck. But you refine it and you figure out like this is worth doing, or maybe not worth doing, and you've cut yourself off and you're like, I've gone and trying to do this Illume picture for a few attempts now and it's been a failure. You know, you learn from the failures too.
Yeah, I mean, I think the bottom line is you just gotta do it.
Yeah.
Just do it, create, stop talking about it and do it. So I think you need to
Dress kids up in their opposite gender.
No, we're not taking pictures of abortions.
I didn't say that. I
Get
was
the
saying
Red Bull Illume. You got to come up with a game plan and do it.
Yeah. I mean, I've had a couple of good ideas, but there's just so much risk. I want to do something with like a volcano exploding and somebody kiteboarding in it in a way that's safe. You're like, it's got to be safe. You got to time it to where you get the volcano. Like, how is that going to happen? You got to get the pro athlete that needs to be in the photo. It can't just be you. It needs to be like, oh man, you got the good UFC fighter to do this thing. Like, you want all of these elements to come together, and that just requires risk and money and coordination and reaching out to people and making sure it can happen. And then you have to feel like, am I capable of taking that photo? Can I go out to the biggest wave in the world and I'm not a surfer? And like, no, I can't. So that is off the table.
Right.
What is something else that I can do?
Something with lava would be cool.
And you just got to make it to where like their whole thing is it has to be real. You know, it can't be a composite. And so you have to think through the technical element really well to make sure that when you get out there, you don't fail. I've been talking about doing this pole vaulting shoot just to do it. It's not going to be a Red Bull shot or anything, but like you just start thinking of the logistics of how much failure there is. Very small in the big scheme of things. Maybe I'm out $300 and a couple hours or days out of my time. But to go up there and to try to take an image that's in my mind and like put everything there with the stakes are the highest, but still don't have a paying client. I think that's what photographers should be doing all the time.
Agreed. And I think that is where we end. Head over to fstoppers.com/contest to be part of the next critique. We will see you all next time.